Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Gilda Evans, bringing you the Autism Resource Podcast. This podcast and the ARP website are your one-stop knowledge and resource space for autism and much more. I'm pleased to have Jordan Modiano join me as my guest today. Jordan is a race car driver, business owner, motivational speaker, and proud Autism Super Dad. He is the founder of Racers for Autism, a nonprofit using motorsports to drive awareness, inclusion, and acceptance for individuals on the spectrum. He also leads two express employment professionals offices in upstate New York, where he brings his passion for leadership and purpose-driven work to life. He speaks across the country about resilience, leadership, and lessons learned from raising a daughter with autism, running a business, and racing full throttle, both on the track and in life. Welcome, Jordan. And thank you so much for taking time to join me today and discuss the work that you do.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
To get started, what inspired you to start Racers for Autism, and how has your journey as a father influenced that mission?
That's a long story, but I'll try and do the Reader's Digest version.
Okay.
Racing cars, you design the cars a certain way, and I decided, back some years ago, because of my daughter, I decided to make it an autism awareness car. And I'm going to say by the second year of running an autism awareness car, I had a lot of people coming up to me telling me, thank you for doing that. They think they know kid's friend or their child or a grandson or a granddaughter or somebody is on the spectrum, and they're like, where do you get help? What do you do? And I realized there was this need and people don't know. So I talked to the track and I got some sponsors, and we decided to put a race together, and we put an autism acceptance race together for the class of cars that I race. And it was a big paying race for our class, and it was a big hit. So the next year I said, you know what, let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger. And I picked up some more sponsors, and I picked up the Upstate Chevy dealers as a sponsor. And they were absolutely amazing because they saw the need for it. And when I told them back then, I think it was 1 in 44 kids. Now we're saying it's 1 in 31 are diagnosed with it. When I told them that, I was like, everybody knows somebody, and every one of your dealers has people. And they were like, we're on board. So they did it. And I think that was 3 years ago or 4 years ago when we did it. It was huge, but it was mostly me and a lot of social promotion and everything else. And it just about killed me. It really was like, this is nuts. And when it was said and done, I was like, I'm never doing this again. And when I talked to the dealers, they said, this was great. We want to do it again next year. And I was like, oh my God, we're helping people. We're doing the right thing. We're raising money for autism foundations, but I didn't have the bandwidth or the capacity to keep going. So I said to them, if we're going to do it, we've got to significantly increase the sponsorship because I'm going to need to hire some help and do some stuff. They said, fine, tell us what you need. So we did that, and I decided, let's start a not-for-profit, and then let's build a website, and let's do some other stuff. So that was the foundation to start Racers for Autism, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit. And then we built the Racers for Autism website, and it was a place we can house all the information. We could put all the stuff about the race. We can put stuff about our sponsors. We can put information about what we do with the money and why we're in business and how we're doing it. And it saved me a lot of time closer to the race because all the information was in one place, and I didn't have my phone getting blown up on a regular basis with questions. I would just tell people, did you read the website? Did you read the website? And it helped. And it was another huge success. We've kept it going. And this year we decided that we're at a point now where it's like, hey, let's see what else we can do. And I'm going to say 3 months ago, we hired our first person for Racers for Autism. Following our mission, we hired somebody with special needs. She works part-time, 3 days a week, a few hours every single day. She comes with a job coach, and we're fulfilling our mission.
That's wonderful. And I just love what you said. The neurodiverse family, the neurodiverse community, it touches everyone. And that's also why we created ARP, the Autism Resource Project, is to get the information out there, because people a lot of times don't know they're connected to someone with autism, but they're not really fully aware of the size of the community, of the challenges, the limited resources, how difficult it is to find those resources. And that's the whole mission and purpose behind ARP as well. So kudos to you.
Which is great because my wife is a school psychologist. She's got her doctorate, she's PhD, she knows her stuff. When my daughter was born, she started learning a tremendous amount about autism. But my daughter's life is exponentially better because of my wife, because my wife knows at least where to go and look and what questions to ask and what to do. If it was left just to me, if I was a single dad with my daughter, I'm telling you right now, I would not know where to go, what to do. The hours that my wife spends filling out paperwork and doing things and filling out forms and making requests and finding camps that are good for special needs kids and all this other stuff, it's another full-time job. And my wife has a full-time job. When you have people, and my wife's again, a psychologist in a school who works with kids with needs. So she's already in this and still had to spend so much time learning and figuring it out. So for your average public who have normal jobs, like 99.9% of the population who aren't working with special needs, who aren't doing this other stuff, and then they find out, hey, we've got a kid, we've got this diagnosis, what do we do? That's scary. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, just like you wanted to do ARP, because those people need some guidance. They need an avenue. They need to know, go here and ask these people. They can help.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you this. You often talk about the difference between success and significance. Can you share what that means to you, especially in the context of autism advocacy and leadership?
And that even changes in my own head because the definition of success changes and people define success differently. So many people look at success in the monetary way. They look at in accomplishing a goal. They look at where they've achieved what they've set out to achieve. I think impact is making a difference in the world, making a difference in people's lives. You can't see it because it's off behind me, but years ago, one of the guys who worked for me, when he left, he got me a plaque, which lives to my personal mission statement. And it's to change the world for one person at a time. When you're changing the world for somebody, that's significance. That's impact. That has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me succeeding at anything or not, because I can't actually change the world for anybody. I might be able to give some advice. I might be able to give some guidance. I might be able to give some motivation. I might be able to offer some ideas on discipline, but somebody else has to do the work. I can't do the work for somebody. It's the old adage, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Somebody else has to do the work. We can set everybody up for success. The significance comes when we do everything we can and then they take the ball and run with it.
I like that perspective. So then tell me, how has having a daughter on the spectrum changed your perspective on business, relationships, and just life in general?
I learned so much from her. And part of it is learning from others and then realizing what I need to do for her. So as any parent with a kid with special needs, at some point in time, we get frustrated, we get upset, they get on our nerves and say, oh my God, just listen to me, or just do what I want you to do, or stop doing that, or stop melting down. And years ago, I heard this phrase, they're not giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. And that has kind of stuck with me. So that's one. Another thing that has stuck with me has been that I've always believed in her more than other people. So she always performs better for me. And I'm not talking performing, but if we're going to do something, she acts at a higher level for me than other people do. That both of those translate well to leadership. And over the years, I've learned other things with her. She'll have a couple of bad minutes, meltdown, etc. And we work on not letting ruin her day. And we have a phrase now, there are no bad days, just bad minutes. And we have to figure out how to get past those bad minutes and make it a good day. My business is staffing. We help people find jobs. We help companies find people. And we have a lot of people who do some blue collar work, sometimes on the lower pay range. Here's where this relates to that. So my recruiters work really hard. They find people who are supposed to go to a job today, and 2 of the 3 don't show up. The client calls, the client's upset. This is part of the business. It's what happens. It's why we're in business. There was a point in time it would ruin my recruiter's day, and I didn't know how to recoup it. And how do you ruin it? One bad action from 1 or 2 people even though we got 90 people who are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, and it still ruins the day. And I think by coaching my daughter through this and understanding I can't let it ruin her day, and we work on this, I share the same stories with my team, and I share it when I do my motivational speaking and leadership training, and it applies. And there's so much that apply from the lessons I get through her, through working with her, through experiences with her that I never planned on having ever in my life. And suddenly I'm thrown into experience and it's, oh my God, figure this out. And I figure it out. And I'm like, that'll work in real life, at work, and other places. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
By sharing it clearly, because
Yeah.
there's so much roaming in my head with it, because there's so many scenarios.
Yeah, there sure are. Those are some pretty important lessons learned from your daughter. What about lessons from the racetrack? How have those helped you most in parenting and leadership?
So, a couple of lessons from the racetrack. And I think one of the biggest lessons actually comes from the shop and not from the racetrack. You don't have a chance on the racetrack if you don't do the pre work. If you don't spend the time doing your maintenance, checking the car, making sure you show up with good equipment, doing all of that other stuff, you don't stand a chance. And we'll go back to my daughter. If we're going to do something, we don't stand a chance at success if we don't actually manage her expectations in advance. Okay, we're presetting her. We're going here. It's going to get late. We're doing this. We're doing that. We've got a wedding coming up. We've been telling her for weeks, we're going to travel 2.5 hours to this wedding. We're going to my mom's where we're going to go get changed. So then we drive dressed up for another 20 minutes to get to the wedding, but we don't have to be in suits and ties and dresses and gowns for 3 hours in the car to get to a wedding. So it's presetting her and doing that pre-work. So that's one of the things from racing. Another thing you learn from racing is patience and managing your emotions. Most sports are emotional. You invest a lot of time, energy, effort. And when things don't go right, people get emotional. They say things, they do things. And we all have those moments. But when you can step back and think, keep your mouth shut, and wait till you can actually get some clarity in your head, you tend to make better decisions than acting emotionally. Those are some big lessons from the racetrack.
And good ones. So, in your opinion, then, what can businesses and community leaders do better to create more inclusive and accepting environments for individuals with autism and other neurodivergences?
I think first and foremost, there's a level of education and understanding because I'm deep in this. So the people I surround myself and the people I run into, they have an understanding and they know what's going on. But I'll be out in other places and I realize the majority of the population is clueless still. They don't understand, they don't know. They really don't. Because even though we're down to 1 in 31 and everybody's touched somehow or another, people don't really understand. Is it poor parenting? Is it this or is it that? And people tend to go to their past experiences. So if they don't have experience with autism, with neurodiverse, with special needs, they go right back to the kid they grew up with who wasn't well behaved and because they had crummy parents or something like that. So obviously it's crummy parents, it's not controlling the kids. So I think communities and other places have to work on education. I think it has to start in schools because I experienced with my daughter. There are times in schools where kids don't understand. Now, there are some that are amazing. There are some that are absolutely great, but there are kids who don't understand. And it's the school's responsibility to share that, but they can't just share it with the students. They have to somehow or another include the parents because the kids are going home to the parents and the parents are going to feed the kids some information or another. We've had a couple of teachers with my daughter who've done this, who've worked in other classes and said, hey, who wants to come and have lunch with Rachel? And other kids get to know her. And that works. And it helps. She still doesn't have the friend group that a normal kid her age would have. Why? Because she doesn't have that inclusivity. And I think it's got to start with schools. And if it can start with schools, it'll transition later on into higher education. It'll transition into the workplace. It'll transition into different places. But if you go and you put it into higher level education right now and you force it into workplaces where it's not something they've done before and they've not something that they're accustomed to. Can it be done? Absolutely. But it has to be done very delicately and it's got to take some time to do it. While we need to do that, we simultaneously need to be working in the schools from nursery school and kindergarten straight on up, combining the classes, teaching everybody how to get along, how to manage, how to work with each other to find each other's strengths and weaknesses and maximize their strengths. And when we do that together, then they can get through college, they can get through into a work site, et cetera.
That makes a lot of sense. If you start at the root of the tree and you nurture it and give it what it needs, it's going to filter all the way up into the branches and the leaves and everything else. But it's a whole lot more difficult. As you say, it takes a lot more effort and you have to be a lot more delicate if it wasn't taught from the very beginning and the education wasn't there, trying to re-educate, if you will, people.
You say that so much more artistically than I do. You know, but I'll give you an example. So we hired somebody with special needs and she's got incredible work ethic. She doesn't want to take time off, but I understand she has to for things. I understand she gets rides and that doesn't always work and she needs a job coach. And sometimes a job coach has a doctor's appointment or something like that. And she's always petrified of upsetting me. And I'm back. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. If this week is 12 hours and next week is 10 hours and the week after that is 15 hours, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You're doing great. And I have the luxury of being like that.
Still have the knowledge and the education.
I do, but I also have the luxury.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had her in a role that was customer facing and things like that, and it was okay, you need to be here at this time and do this, it becomes more challenging. But I don't have her in that role. I have her in a role with her responsibility and her mission and with my guidance. All right, go out and do this. And if it takes you 6 hours or 8 hours, I'm okay with it. And if you do it 2 hours today and 4 hours the next day instead of 3 and 3, I'm okay with that. But not every company and every position can be like that. In my races for autism, it can be like that right now. Could she actually go and sustain a job where there is a set regiment and a set thing and other things? Probably not. Unfortunately, there are positions that are like that, that this is the requirements. So there's a good chance my daughter's never going to be able to do that if that's the requirements and it's set in stone, unless there's some type of accommodations. And sometimes those accommodations make sense and sometimes they just don't make sense. And I think both sides need to understand that. I get that because I'm a business owner, but I'm also an autism super dad. And I realize there are going to be things where you can't accommodate my daughter. You just can't. Not if you're going to grow a business and deliver to customers and do the other stuff you need to do. And then there are things where you can.
And it's all about finding the right match, right? Because the old saying goes, you meet one person with autism, you've met one person
with autism.
There are those who are neurodivergent who are excellent in customer facing positions. And there are others who have different needs and require different accommodations. And you know what? That's the same thing, whether you're talking about someone who identifies as neurodivergent or neurotypical. There are neurotypical people who are great customer facing, and there are others who just, no, thank you. That's not my thing. So it's all about finding the right match, having proper communication, giving the person the right supports and accommodations, and away you go.
Absolutely.
And that leads me into my next question, because you mentioned it earlier in our conversation, and you also talk about resilience, right? What advice do you have for parents or professionals who are struggling to stay positive and purposeful on their journey?
The journey always seems darker today than it will tomorrow. And if you ask anybody who's made it, success, significance, impact, et cetera, it's only because of all the challenges. And the challenges will make the rewards. You climb to the top of the mountain and it's a beautiful view, but you can't see it without the struggles of climbing. You don't get there without that. You don't get the victories without the work and the hardship. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes raising a child on the spectrum is hard. And you've got to dig deep. You've got to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And I will tell you right now, I'm the best dad in the world for my daughter. And there's a lot of times I feel like a failure. There's a lot of times I feel like I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, but there's nobody better. I know that because I know her, because I've known her since the day she was born. And I understand tomorrow is going to be better, and tomorrow is going to be better, and the next day is going to be better, and the next day is going to be better. And if I don't believe that, how do I get up and fight? How do I get up and try something? We've had battles with the school over things with my daughter, and they say, this is the way it is. I go, no, that's the way it was. You've got to do it different now. Like, I don't care. We have to fight. You've got to have that resilience, because that's what matters. There are people who are hanging on to their lives so we can help them. And there are people who are fighting every day to do something. It's not just about coming out on the other side, but it's everything you learn and gain through the hardships. And those are the true benefits of this resilience. And the other side is, what's the option? Giving up, quitting, saying, Uncle, I'm done. That, to me, that's not an option. It never has been. And when you ask most people, what's your choice? I just don't want to fight so hard anymore. What other choice do you have? You give up, you let it go. I love the phrase, I didn't come this far just to come this far. And you don't know what tomorrow brings. I've got a dear friend who, her little boy was born when they got the news, brain cancer, not going to survive. And it's been hard 10 years later. And he should have been dead 9 years ago. 10 years later, he's doing hippotherapy. He's doing other stuff. She never gave up. And she started a foundation. She started some other stuff. Everybody in the Capital District knows who this little boy is. And you want to talk about resilience? That's resilience. And is it hers? Is it her husband's? Is it the little boys? Yeah. Is it the people who support her? Yeah. But what was her option? Quit, give up, and not fight? That doesn't work.
Wow. Those are wonderful words of wisdom. And thank you. Thank you, Jordan, so much for your perspective, for your time, and for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for what you do. You're doing some amazing stuff, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and share my voice. I'm going to give myself a quick plug here. So I've got two websites. Our Racers for Autism website, and we're always accepting donations. And if you want to just go check it out, learn a little bit about our race and what we do, it's racers, the number 4, autism.com. And then myself, like you said before, I'm a motivational speaker. I love to come out and speak. I speak to companies, I speak at conventions, all types of speaking. So that's just jordanmodiano.com, JORDANMODIANO.com. And you can just Google me and find lots of stuff about me as well.
Thank you again, Jordan, for being here. And you know what? You're welcome back anytime.
I think I'll take you up on that. It'll be a little bit, but absolutely. I enjoyed this.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and other popular platforms. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like more information on this topic or anything else we've covered on the Autism Resource Podcast, visit us online at autismresourceproject.org/podcast. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover in the future, contact us through the website or comment on any of our social media channels. And be sure to check out our growing website often, since we are continually adding useful information and resources. I want to thank our listeners for spending part of their day with us. This is the Autism Resource Podcast, and I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.